Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. I'm joined here by Matthew Hurley from the Gaelic Statsman. We're here to review all the weekend's club championship action, looking through some different GAA news stories. Obviously, plenty to discuss and plenty to digest, really, from, definitely an action full weekend. Obviously, taking it back to Saturday morning, you obviously had the draw for the All-Ireland Championships, for the Provincial Championships, which we'll be getting into in just a moment. Obviously, some action-packed games. Kilmacud Crokes coming out on top, obviously, in Dublin. 3 in a row complete. First Dublin side to do so since 2001. You had the Wicklow final, which obviously went to a draw. Big wins for the likes of Crossmaglen Rangers and Naas, obviously, in their respective club championships as well. And we'll also be discussing some of the shocking scenes that took place in Tullamore between the Leinster Club Senior Football Championship match between Tullamore and Summerhill. So, definitely a lot to digest and break down. And Matthew, I suppose, how's life with yourself? How are you getting on?
Yeah, I'll go, Darren, and thanks for having me on again. Yeah, doing well enough throughout the past few weeks. Like, I went to the Cork hurling final last week. Brilliant experience seeing SARS win it. The Cork football finals next week, so definitely going to hope to go to that. And the club is really slowing down in the county scene, and it's probably the same for the rest of the country. It's known to the provincial championships, and even look at some of the provincial draws at the moment, especially Ulster. I know we'll get onto that in a sec, but that looks an intriguing draw, especially one side of the draw. You look at Scottstown are in it, Crossmaglen, Errigal Kieran, Kilmacud on that side of the draw, and then you've Watty Graham's Lynn on the other side, kind of chilling. So that's going to be a very interesting club championship. Definitely, you have St. Lomans and Naas. Could they challenge Kilmacud in the Leinster Championship? And you have the Connacht Championship up as well in the Munster, which, like I would have said, Dingle would have been the main All-Ireland contenders before the weekend. But having looked at them on Saturday in that game against Big Kerry, what happened to them? 10-point loss. I don't know what happened. Were Big Kerry actually that good? Were Dingle just off the pace a bit? We'll talk about that in a second, I'd imagine as well. But yeah, an interesting action-packed weekend. But as someone said to me during the weekend, it wasn't the best weekend for the underdogs. You look at all the underdogs, Ballyboden losing. You look at Selbridge losing by 2 points to Naas. You look at Clondegale succumbing to Crossmaglen Rangers. You had a lot of underdogs losing. The 2 semi-finalists of Waterford lost. So you had a lot of losing. Crusheen lost to Clonlara. So it wasn't the best weekend for underdogs, but the favourites, including the likes of Kilmacud and Denier or Naas, kept marching on.
Yeah, and I suppose, funny enough, like, Ballyboden were actually the favourites in most people's eyes, and even according to the bookies, like, according to, I think, Paddy Power had them as favourites going into the game against Kilmacud Crokes, which might sound a bit crazy, really. Like, I fancied Ballyboden to win, but I thought the bookies would have had it odds even, or maybe Kilmacud slight favourites. Keane also says here, St. Bridget's survived a late Boyle surge to win the Roscommon County title. I expected Boyle to win it and go a long way in the club championship, but it's such an open Connacht club championship now. Yeah, it is. It definitely is all right. And you'd be looking at Galway as well. I think Mike Cullen and Corofin booked themselves into the final there as well. So I think you're always kind of looking at the Galway champions to be one of the favourites. Usually the Galway teams do tend to do quite well. I suppose we'll start off by looking at the draw, the provincial championship draw that obviously took place on Saturday. I don't know if you've seen the draw, Matthew. Like, what were your thoughts on it initially?
Yeah, I actually did some live tweeting and live Instagram posts on this draw. I was listening to it on the radio, and what infuriated really me, Aaron, to be honest with you, it was the same as UEFA and FIFA. The draw took an absolute age. Like, you look at the Ulster Championship draw that was there, and then in the middle of it, Joanne Cantwell was talking at the end of the beginning about, how is it like to play in an Ulster Championship? I'm just like, get on with it. Like, we don't have time just to listen to that. We can listen to that in the league next year. This is the time for the draw now. Just get it done with. It's ridiculous. Like, between actually the first draw in Ulster and the last draw in Connacht, I'd say there was more than an hour between. And I mean, that was, it was bad for the listener, really. And, it was really, really bad. And we're talking even about the Munster, the Leinster Championship draw, potential matchups. Like, Colm O'Rourke coming up against Dublin, and he's going to fulfill his dream in trying to beat Dublin. And I'm like, lads, be real. You're not going to beat Dublin now. They're not going to beat Dublin. I know they've improved, but they're not going to beat Dublin. Simple as. And you're going on about the other side of the draw. I think Evan Comerford had his say on Twitter during the weekend as well about, it's the same argument about Tipperary, Waterford and Clare on one side of the draw. To an extent, you'd be sick of that argument. But Like, it's probably a kick in the teeth for the likes of Down and Westmeath in Division 3, who could even go up in Division 3, and then who will get in the Munster final, Clare, Waterford or Tipperary. And it's kind of a disservice to those counties in general, and I'd really feel bad for Westmeath or Down. Well, Down could reach an Ulster final, you never know. Like, you look at Down side of the Ulster draw, you have Armagh again. Like, Armagh would be definitely licking their lips of going to the Ulster final, but there were some parts of the draw that were comical, but some parts of the draw that were really, really interesting. Like the Connacht draw, the Munster draw, and the Leinster draw were probably standard, but you look at the Ulster draw, Derry against Donegal. How could you not ignore that fixture? Mickey Hart against Jim McGuinness. You couldn't write it, really. What a draw that was. I'm not sure where it will be played. Celtic, if it's played in Celtic Park, what an atmosphere that'll be. Or even Ballybuffet, if it goes there. Like, that's going to be some atmosphere there. And even the other three sides in the draw, Monaghan, Tyrone, dare I say, Cavan. I think John McMahon is looking at this and thinking, oh, he's tearing his hair out at this, being on the same side of the draw as Monaghan, Tyrone, Donegal and Derry. It's like all the sharks are there and Cavan are a fish. Sorry, John, I have to put that kind of comment in there, but yeah, that's the way it is. And Cavan will be feeling sick about it. And to be honest, I think Down in Westmeath, who'll probably go up for Division 3 next season, will be feeling sick at the sight of Clare, Waterford and Tipperary all on one side of the draw without Cork and Kerry on their side.
Absolutely. Yeah, big ups to everyone in the chat as well. Keane says here the clash between Mickey Hart's, Derry and Donegal under the stewardship of Jim McGuinness promises to be a cracker. And big up Dublin is great as well. Make sure everyone's hitting the like button, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Helps the channel grow. So much appreciated. I suppose, Joe, we'll have a look at the draw maybe quickly on the screen there, maybe for those who didn't catch it. So it will be Tipperary or Waterford, and the winner will be playing Clare, and it will be Limerick or Cork, and the winner will be playing Kerry. As a Cork man, like, what were your thoughts getting Limerick? Obviously, I suppose you're gonna have to realistically play Kerry at some point anyway if you're gonna do anything in Munster. So is it better to get them in a semi-final, or would you rather have gotten them in a Munster final? I suppose at least then you would have had a guaranteed place in the All-Ireland, but what's your thoughts on it?
The thoughts initially is like Cork have to do well in the league again this year. Like, and I've been doing the math and look at the other provincial draws in brilliant detail. I think if Cork finish fourth in Division 2, that should be enough. I obviously want Cork to go up to Division 1, go on a further run to Division 1. Eventually, we have to get up there. But I think if we finish fourth in Division 2, that should be enough to get us in the All-Ireland series. Look, Kerry, like, regardless of it was a Munster final or a Munster semi-final, we would have played with Killarney anyway, so it was always going to be a difficult task. Some people are actually believing that Cork could beat Kerry. I don't. I know I'm very hopeful about this Cork team. We have some good young players coming through. Conor Corbett. There's actually news about Conor Corbett. I was speaking to Hawley O'Sullivan recently, and he's not going down to Australia, not this year anyway. He's going to finish off his last year college course at DCU. So that's brilliant news for the Cork footballers. He's staying on for another season. Will he go the next year? I'm not sure. But he's staying on. You look at Brian Hurley, Stephen Sherlock. There are some still lads staying on in the Cork team, which is brilliant. Look, I don't think we're going to be. I think we're a year off beating Kerry. In all honesty, Kerry are still have the likes of David Clifford, Sean O'Shea, and they're going to call upon some more talent. Like, you look at the Kerry semi-final now during the Saturday night. That there was a guy, I think his second, Nathan Breen at full back for the mid Kerry. I thought he was excellent. If they bring him in, that's another body they need to bring into that full back line. You look at Mike Breen, who had another good game. Kerry have some brilliant players defensively and offensively. Jason Foley's improving. Tom O'Sullivan, we know how good he is. Shane Ryan, probably one of the best goalkeepers in the country. So Kerry have the best players all over the field. But what is key for Cork is to beat Limerick. I don't want to discredit Limerick. I know they've done a brilliant job and initially getting up to Division 2. And I go to college in Limerick and I enjoy my time in Limerick. And I probably will be writing so much about Limerick in the Limerick Voice this year. But Cork have to beat them. They have to, simply. Like, Limerick are a Division 3 team. We're aiming to be a Division 1 team. If we're going to be close to Kerry in the next few years, we have to beat Limerick. We have to beat Clare. We have to beat Tip. We have to beat Waterford. There's no excuses now. We lost to Clare last year, probably deservedly so. But them losses should be a distant memory now. We have to go on and beat these teams. And look, if we go on and beat Limerick, which we should do, we'll have a crack off Kerry. and see what happens. I'm not expecting us to beat them in any way. I'm expecting us probably to get another quarter-final appearance, another appearance in Croke Park. Possibly, if we get a good draw, a semi-final, but that's a long way away. But look, it was what I expected, really. We were going to get Kerry in the semi-final because Clare and Kerry were in different pots to Cork. So I kind of expected that we'd get Kerry anyway. But yeah, it's the way it is. It's the way it is. Cork have to go to Killarney to play against Kerry, albeit we beat Limerick. But I really would be feeling sorry in this draw for Westmeath and Down. And I'm sure you will as well, Aaron. Clare, Tip, Waterford on one side of the draw, guaranteed place in the Sam Maguire. It's another probably bit of proof that the system is so flawed. You look at Sligo in the Connacht final last year, denying the likes of me the place in Sam Maguire. Like I know Sligo, fair play to Tony McEnteen's team. He got them into an All-Ireland series. He got them into a Connacht final. But he deprived the place of the Sam Maguire to a like of Meath, a Down, whatever. And that's not right either. You want the best teams in the All-Ireland series. I think it's a relief for teams that it's not like a Westmeath situation last year where they won the Tadley Cup and they're stuck in Division 3. It's a Meath situation, and Meath are in Division 2. So, and Meath probably will stay in Division 2. I think they're good enough to stay there. So there won't be any excuses there, but it does prove that the system is flawed, that those three counties are going, one of them are going to make Sam Maguire, and Westmeath or Down potentially are not.
Yeah, no, I do agree as well. And I don't know if the solution could have been something like a playoff or something between the runners up in a provincial final and a sixth place Munster team or a sixth place Division 2 team. But the only problem is then, if you have your fifth place team and more games and everything else, it just could get a bit messy. But it'd be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I suppose Clare fans will be looking at it and thinking it's a chance to go straight back into an All-Ireland series. But at the same time, they weren't very competitive. Well, they were competitive enough in there, but they didn't win any games. I just don't know if that's doing them any favours either, if I'm being honest. But this was the draw for the Leinster Championship then, for anyone who didn't see it. So Westmeath, Wicklow, Carlow, Wexford, Longford, Meath. Winners of Westmeath, Wicklow play Kildare. Winners of Carlow, Wexford play Louth. And the winners of Longford, Meath play Dublin. And then you have Offaly v Laois. It will be the winners of Kildare and who they will play, and then the winners of Louth and who they will play, and then vice versa for the other two games there. So, I mean, to be fair, it's not inconceivable that Westmeath don't reach a Leinster final. I know Kildare will be the big favourites there, and a lot of people will look towards Louth as well. But Westmeath will be avoiding Dublin on their side of the draw, so maybe that's something for them to look towards. Or if you're going to reach towards something, maybe maybe they put all their eggs into the basket of the championship,
Yeah, I think actually Westmeath, funnily enough, I think they have all the attributes to beat Kildare. I really think so. Wicklow, not discrediting them, no. I think Wicklow could even beat Westmeath under there. They have some excellent players like Kevin Quinn, Owen Darcy. They do have very good players. But this Westmeath team, they did very well in the All-Ireland. You talked about Clare, they were competitive enough, but they weren't really. Sligo the same. But Westmeath, in every game in the All-Ireland series, they were competitive. They probably should have beat Armagh last year. They should have beat Tyrone on another day. And against Galway, Ray Kennellan was sent off early. So Westmeath they have proved that they can mix it in with the bigger teams. Kildare, this is a huge chance for them to reach a Leinster final. It really is. And Glenn Ryan can't complain about the draws or the length of the grass or anything like that this year. Look at the side of the draw you're on. You're in with Westmeath, a low team without Mickey Hart. They have some good players, fair play to them, but it's not a Dublin, it's not even a Meath, it's those sides. And I think Kildare have to be licking their lips and thinking, this is a Leinster final, this is our chance to right all the wrongs of complaints and things like that and get into a Leinster final. I think it's a tough one, really. Louth, one of the key things actually in the McGinley, and this was one of the things that RT did well in fairness. In the beginning, he was talking about Louth without Mickey Hart. Maybe it's an opportunity for these players to say, we could do it without Mickey Hart. We're independent and we can go to a Leinster final. Louth will be thinking that in the back of their minds as well. You look at their side of the draw, Kildare, Westmeath, definitely beatable. The side they'll play in the quarterfinal, Carlow, Wexford, definitely beatable. So Louth will be definitely fancier chances in getting to another Leinster final. Meath, if they beat Longford, they'll face Dublin in the quarterfinal, and Tullamore will come up against Dublin. Look, I think Dublin will win that game. it's obvious. That's just stating the obvious. Really, is the Pope Argentinian? But I will say this: in a neutral venue, in a venue down in Leinster, such as a Tullamore, a Mullingar, or Portlaoise, or wherever, Meath can make it into a battle. And I think Meath, if there's any chance of them putting it up to Dublin, I think the main thing is to make it into a battle. And they definitely will do that for about maybe 40 minutes or so, and then Dublin will start to take over because of the fitness. But I definitely believe in this Meath team this next year. Like, you look at Jack Flynn there, Jack O'Connor, who's excellent in the Tailteann Cup. You look at Jordan Morris, Matthew Costello. There's some very good players. Conor Gray in midfield. There's actually players that are noticeable now. And I think Colin O'Rourke has a base to build from this year. And definitely, a stepping ladder to achieve something brilliant. Offaly Laois, chance to reach a semi-final, a chance to reach Croke Park. But then again, you're playing Dublin in a semi-final. You're probably going to get hammered, to be honest with you. So it's kind of a situation there, like, which team wants to win and which team wants to lose. Like, it's sad, really, but it's the way Leinster's gone. And, of course, you have your own dubs there, Aaron. And, they'll probably win Leinster again. But it's probably not helping Dublin being in Leinster. And you need the likes of Meath and Kildare to step up. It's as simple as that. Like, Meath have done in fairness. They're taking stepping stones. They won the Tailteann Cup. They knew their place last year. They built on their Tailteann Cup. They were kind of a rabble coming into it, but coming out of it, they're like a rejuvenated team. We'll see what it does to them next year. But the key thing out of this is Meath and Kildare need to pluck up seriously, or else Dublin are just going to cakewalk Leinster every season for the next maybe 5-6 years.
Yeah, I think Kildare are definitely the team that I think are most likely to put it up to Dublin. If there is a side, you never know with Kildare. Like, they can be inconsistent as anyone, really, and you don't know what version of Kildare is going to turn up on any occasion. But if you look at the underage and you look at some of the players they're producing at the moment, some of the battles they've had with Dublin in the last few seasons, I think they're more than capable of I wouldn't say beating them, but if anyone's going to do it in Leinster in the next couple of years, I think Kildare are definitely best placed to do so. But again, is anyone going to do it in the next 3-5 years? It's hard to know. Kildare do seem to have the jump on Dublin at underage level, but will that translate to senior level? And like Dublin, I'm sure, like Dublin have so many great club players. You know, we even seen them in the Dublin Club Championship final, which we'll get on to in a moment, that aren't even playing for the county. So, but there we go. But as you were saying about Meath and Dublin, like Meath, like usually Dublin play their Leinster quarterfinals away from home against the team that they're playing. Like, that's always the way it's been for pretty much the last 10-15 years, or my time watching Gaelic football. Maybe there might have been the odd one that was in Croke Park, but so, like, looking at that logic, Dublin should play Meath, provided they beat Longford in Park Tailteann. Now, the argument will be, is Park Tailteann big enough? Maybe it isn't, to hold both sets of supporters for a big championship game. But then maybe Tullamore or something like that. So I just hope that, like, even as a Dublin fan, I'm saying this, like, I hope the GA don't bottle it and avoid putting that game in Croke Park at all costs, because if they put it in Croke Park, it's just going to kill the game and kill the atmosphere as well.
Definitely is, yeah. And if you put it in Croke Park, it's going to be another hammering, and Meath will take another pasting, and it'll definitely degrade the confidence of the young players from Meath as well. Like, and you don't want that. You really don't. Like, I looked at that Meath team last year in the Tailteann Cup, and I was impressed the way they acquitted themselves. And it'd be just a shame for them just to throw it all down the drain because of Leinster Council's decision to put a game in Croke Park. And I think you can't just keep putting games at Croke Park. It's as simple as that. Like, Dublin are just going to cakewalk it nearly every time. Like, you're nearly going back to the days when I remember Longford going to Croke Park, I think, in Dublin beating them by 25 points. Like, what did that do to the Longford players afterwards? Like, Laois losing by, 430 to 2-9 this year. Like, that's, like, you don't want games like that. You don't want games like that. Now, I think it's an opportunity, really. It's an opportunity for the GA to right the wrongs, to put this game in a neutral venue. If you put it in Portlaoise or Tullamore, I think it'd be more than capable of holding both sets of fans. I think it would, to be honest with you. Like, you look down through the years, Walsh Park and Waterford has hosted games between the home county and Tipperary and Limerick in the Munster Hurling Championship. You look at Parky Rinn has hosted Cork and Kerry with the Parky Rinn or Nowhere saga. You looked at games in Ulster down through the years. Ballybuffet has hosted games between Donegal and Tyrone. I wouldn't say that's the biggest venue in the world. You look at St. Conleth's Park at Kildare, has hosted Kildare against Mayo all them years ago. Look, it's definitely possible for neutral venues to host these sorts of games. And look, you could put it on Jago, you could put it on RT, and fans that aren't able to go to the game because it's sold out can watch it on TV or online. There's a simple solution there. So I think you have to put it in Tullamore, you have to put it in Portlaoise. Maybe not Partalton, because I think, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the quarterfinals historically are neutral venues. So I don't think a side can get home advantage in those. So put it in Portlaoise, put it in Tullamore, make it a game. Because you looked at it even last year, a prime example in the Munster Championship, Kerry and Clare, there was a huge opportunity for the Munster Council, put it in Cusack Park, make it a tough game for Kerry. They put it in the Gaelic grounds and Kerry just run asunder on them. You can't have that. You can't keep having games like this, and you need to learn from your mistakes, put it in a neutral venue, and that's all there should be to it. And Tullamore, Portlaoise, I've been to those grounds. They're big enough to host Meath and Dublin, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, it should be interesting, all right. Like, I know this year we played Laois in Portlaoise, and I think a few seasons previous we've played Wexford in Chadwick's Wexford Park a few seasons on the bounce. So it'd be interesting to see what they do with it, most definitely. Just looking at Connacht briefly, so New York Mayo versus Roscommon, Sligo Leitrim versus London Galway. I suppose nothing really too exciting there. Mayo, Roscommon obviously will be playing each other once again, so I'm sure both sets of fans will be looking forward to that one, provided Mayo do beat New York, of course, but you would suspect that they will. And then looking at Ulster, I mean, this is really the draw, I think, that really raised everyone's eyebrows when we heard this, or raised their ears or whatever. I mean, you've got Monaghan versus Cavan, that's a derby. Derry Donegal, that's a derby. Tyrone will obviously play the winners of Monaghan Cavan. We saw what happened with Tyrone and Monaghan last season. The potential for Derry going up against Tyrone, Mickey Hart going up against his former team, and even on the other side of the draw, it's another possible, it's another great opportunity for Armagh to get back to an Ulster final, but at the same time, great opportunity maybe for a county like Down to cause a shock or two, possibly en route to an Ulster final themselves.
Definitely so, and Down will definitely be licking their lips at this, in fairness, and knowing that Clare, Waterford, Tipperary will reach a Munster final, I think this is a huge opportunity for Down to reach an Ulster final, as well as that, not only to get into the All-Ireland series, but maybe to raise the confidence of these Down players, because you look at Bourne and Kilcoo in particular, there is talent in Down, and the players want to play there, so it's a huge opportunity for Down to get. I'm not sure of the situation actually with Oran Murdoch. Is he going to go down to Australia? If he is, that's a huge loss to Down. Maybe he'll finish off a college course like Conor Corbett for Cork did. I'm not sure, but I think it's imperative to Down keep him. He's an incredible player. He's a rangy player. He's well able to go for the back of the net as well. You've Ryan McGill, you have the Johnstons, you have the Kilmacud boys, you have the Brannigans, you have Eugene Brannigan, who went into the panel last season, and of course you have Conor Lafferty and Michigan all together. Like, you have an excellent manager there. So I think Down have excellent potential. You have Oisin Savage, who was excellent in the Under-20 Championship last year. If he goes into the first team, that's going to be a bold move as well from Conor Lafferty. And Conor Lafferty would know the Under-20 players, and that cohesion is so important to a team. If you know the Under-20 players coming through, if you know the senior players coming through, the players who know each other as well, and it's just a great bond between them. And I think Down definitely have the potential to reach an Ulster final. Armagh, they have to win an Ulster, don't they, Aaron? Like, we've said this so many times, like, Armagh, the main aim, win an Ulster title. They haven't done so since 2008. Obviously, that statistic of them haven't reached an Ulster final since 2008, that's gone now. They reached it last year, but they just couldn't get the job done. Again, penalty shootout. And they've lost. Like, it's actually incredible in its own right. They've been knocked out of championships. The last 3 championships they've been knocked out of were in penalty shootouts. They have to fix that up. I don't care, Aaron. Like, they have to practice penalties. You can't keep going out in penalties time after time after time, and then the excuses will kind of wane off. So I think it's imperative for Armagh to go on and win the Ulster Championship, but for Down, huge opportunity to go on and get to an Ulster final. The other side of the draw, 4 sharks and a fish. Simple as. Sorry again, John McMahon, for that kind of rude comment to your own County Cavan, and hopefully put off a surprise against Monaghan. But Like, that's intriguing, actually. Monaghan, get on to Derry Donegal in a minute, but Monaghan and Tyrone, considering what happened last year, or this year, should I say, with Ryan O'Toole's goal in the last minute, the amount of aminicity between those two counties would be absolutely through the roof. Tyrone would think they could have won that game last year, and if Ryan O'Toole probably was another player, he probably would have hit fisted it over the bar, but instead he went for the jugular. It worked. Like, it's going to be such an intriguing game. Like, Tyrone have to prove it this season. Brian Dooher, Fergal Logan are under immense pressure this year. They have to go on and win the Ulster Championship, or at the very least, reach an All-Ireland semi-final or potentially a final. If they don't, I think they're in major trouble of losing their jobs, in all honesty. And then, Derry Donegal. What else can you say about this draw? Like, Donegal, I think there's huge potential in this Donegal team with Jim McGuinness at the helm. Like, Jim McGuinness definitely ingrates a bit of confidence into Donegal, but you're coming up against a huge shark in the tank here, Derry. You have Mickey Hart there. You have all the pieces in the jigsaw. You have Shane McGuigan, Chrissy McCaig, and Brendan Rodgers all out of the club championship. Well, they might be playing hurling, but all out of the football championship, so they'll be well rested before the Ulster Championship in the league. That's a huge plus for Derry. Like, they've brilliant players all over the field now. Derry, have Conor McCluskey turned into a brilliant player last season, or Lynch improved game by game. Conor Glass, like, he has the potential to catch fire. So this Derry team, they've won 2 Ulster Championships in a row for a reason. They're an excellent side. But what a statement it would be for Donegal if they were to go to Celtic Park and beat them. Like, if they were to do that in the first game of the championship, that would be absolutely incredible for Jim McGuinness, and the confidence it would instill to them Donegal players. It kind of reminds me, actually, of Jim McGuinness's first season. I think he played Tyrone in Clonus, I think it was, or maybe it was Breffni Park. I can't really remember the round off the top of my head. But he played against Tyrone. No one expected him to win. Tyrone were the raging hot favourites in that game, and Donegal, through Colin McFadden scoring 1 goal, I think Ryan Bradley or somebody scored the second goal, and Donegal somehow beat them. They went into an Ulster final. They reached the All-Ireland semi-final last year, and that was a statement of intent of what they were going to do the next year, which was obviously win the All-Ireland. So it'll be interesting to see what the attitude is for Jim McGuinness and his players in this game against Derry. And let's not forget, these two managers have played each other in a quarter-final in Ulster before. Remember 2013? Tyrone reaching a league final, Donegal All-Ireland champions. We were thinking that was an intriguing game. Who came out on top in that game? Jim McGuinness did. So will history repeat itself, and will Donegal come on top of Mickey Hart's team?
Yeah, he's a very good record against Mickey Hart as well. And I don't even know if he's ever lost to him as a manager. I know I think he's won 2 or 3 times against him. So, yeah, it could be very, very interesting indeed when that game comes around. And I'm sure, look, like we can nearly sit here and preview it now. Like, that's how exciting it is. But obviously, it is a good couple of months away. So we'll save it for when the time comes. And Tom says here, is it possible for Tyrone and Derry to lock horns in Ulster? It is possible if Derry can get past Donegal and Tyrone can get past either Monaghan or Cavan. But what I would say is definitely don't sleep on Monaghan, because let's not forget they beat Tyrone last year. You know, we definitely need to put some respect on Monaghan's name. And I would say, to be honest, I would nearly fancy Monaghan going into that game. But look, it's obviously a long, long way away. So we'll see, obviously, once that does come around. So we'll run through some of the weekend's county finals and big club championship talking points. I suppose, first of all, looking at the Dublin final, it was Kilmacud Crokes 114, Ballybowden St. Enda's 9 points. I obviously recorded a match reaction that's already up on YouTube. So if you want to see me talk about the game in more detail, go and check that one out. But to briefly summarise, it was just dominant from Kilmacud Crokes really from start to finish. Ballybowden stuck with Crokes quite well in the first half, only 2 points down at half time. And I thought Ballybowden were doing really well to actually keep with Crokes, considering I don't even think Crokes kicked the void in the first half. But in the second half, the more the game went on, Crokes started to dominate. Shane Walsh doing Shane Walsh things. I mean, that's just an absolute wonder goal. Like, he could have very easily not shot from there. He could have easily put it over the bar. He didn't need to go for the goal. Crokes were 3-4 points up at that stage. So, you know, how many times do we see players in those positions not go for goal? But fair play to Shane Walsh, he did. Shane Cunningham was very good. Paul Mannion was excellent. From 1 to 15, Crokes were excellent. So, yeah, dominant display from Kilmacud Crokes, and they're going to take some stopping now and could very well win back-to-back All-Irelands.
Definitely so. And even looking in the Scorpio app here, five of their forwards actually scored. Only Hugh Kenny didn't. And that just proves Crokes have the firepower to, blitz anything in the country, never mind Dublin County. Like Ballyboden, as I said, were some people would have, including yourself, would have put them as favourites to win it. And even doing the stats, John, during the week for the preview, I thought Ballyboden actually looked good, and I could see why people were tipping them to, dismantle Crokes. But Crokes, they did it from the off. Like even at half time, the Ballyboden were still in the game. But then Shane Walsh hits an absolute wonder goal. What a finish that was to the top of the net. And Crokes, the kick on from there, they've done absolutely excellent in the club championship. And even we were talking off air there about Darren Mullen. He hasn't been really into this championship. He's been more of a workhorse around the team, playing a wing forward. He's done absolutely excellent despite his low scoring tally. Craig Diaz didn't play yesterday. Like Rory O'Carroll, according to the Scorpio app, was playing midfield. Like that just shows the versatility that he has in the team. In fairness, like he was playing centre back for Kilmacud in the past. He was playing full back for the Dubs, obviously. So like he could play midfield alongside Mark O'Leary. Mark O'Leary got a point as well. Like, but I think the major guys, and it's obvious, Shane Walsh and Paul Mannion. Like Mannion is just an exceptional footballer, and he's just like every time he kicks the ball, no matter what angle it is, you just know where it's going between the two posts. It's just incredible to watch, really. And Shane Walsh, he might be out of a game maybe for 20 minutes or so, and then bang, he's into it. He gets a goal out of nowhere. He's an incredible footballer, and people were comparing him to the likes of David Clifford and even Paul Mannion down through the years for a reason. He's an incredible footballer for Galway and for Kilmacud. I think they'll probably win Leinster now. They'll have to win Leinster. Like you look at their side of the draw, they're against Air Oak from Carlow in the quarterfinal, and then they're against either Ratnew, Blessington, or RD St Mary's in the semi-finals. So you'd have to expect Kilmacud to get to the final at least. I think the toughest test, the next tough test, will be the final of the Leinster Championship. Whether that'll be, in my opinion, probably St. Lomans or Naas. That's going to be a tough game for them. In fairness, like Naas have put it up to Kilmacud in times gone by. St. Lomans, you look at the players they have, it's Sam McCartan, John Heslin, Ronan O'Toole, etc. So Kilmacud still have a long way to go to an All-Ireland. And let's not forget, if they get out of Leinster, of course, the draw this year is that they'll face the Ulster champions. And you look at the Sharks in the Ulster Championship this year. That's going to be an incredible game if it does come to pass. So you'd have to fancy Kilmacud at this stage for the All-Ireland. But I was looking at Paddy Power in the past few weeks about the All-Ireland club odds. The last time I checked, Watty Glen were the odds-on favourites. Kilmacud were second. Could Watty Glen get the revenge? Is going to be very interesting over the next few weeks. But Kilmacud, they got the job done here. Ballyboden, very disappointing from them. 8 points out of 9 actually came from 3 players into 2 Vasquez and Ross McGarry. Really, in a final, that's not really good enough. And they got punished for it. And they've had a brilliant year in football and hurling. They go into the hurling next week. But ultimately, in the football, Kilmacud, they were just a brilliant team. And the better team won in the day.
Yeah, like, and you mentioned there Watty Glen being favourites for the All-Ireland. But even going into this game, like, most bookies had Ballyboden St. Enda's as favourites. And I even had a few people on Instagram message me over the weekend saying, Crokes were hugely disrespected going into the game. They were written off. And in many ways, that fueled the fire. And that was the reason for Crokes going out and putting in the performance that they did, because they were aware of so many people like writing them off left, right, and centre, including myself. Don't know if they saw me write them off, but like generally speaking, a lot of people were writing them off. And why do you think that was? Like, do you think Crokes maybe were disrespected somewhat going into this game? I know Ballyboden were looking so good, but let's not forget what Crokes have achieved. Like, to be fair, like they did win the All-Ireland last year, albeit a little bit controversially, but they were in the final the season before that as well against Kilmacud, lost out to a narrow goal. So like, in the span of 3 years, they've only lost one game, one championship game, and that was to Kilmacud, and now 3 in a row in Dublin. So, like, realistically, when you look at Crokes, although Ballyboden, to be fair, were looking so good coming into the game, like Crokes are a seasoned team at this stage.
They definitely are, and just to add on to your point as well, Kilmacud have not lost a championship game in normal time in 3 years. Remember that Kilmacud game was extra time, so. Like, it just shows the talent and the resolve that they have. They're a very good team. And I think maybe it was looking at too much into statistics. Maybe it was looking at Ballyboden's results. The fact that they hammered Ballyboden Kick'ems the way they did. or maybe it was just the fact that people wanted a different champion. Maybe somebody wanted a different champion to overtake Kilmacud. So, yeah, I think, Kilmacud are a brilliant team. You look at Shane Walsh, Paul Mannion, Conor Ferris and goal. Like, they have an exceptional team all across the park. And even to win the Dublin Championship finally yesterday without Craig Diaz, that's an incredible feat in its own right as well. So, yeah, Kilmacud, they'll definitely be a team that they are the hunted. Will a team hunt them down? I'm not sure. Watty Graham's Glen are probably the closest to it. And maybe, like, if it's in Crow Park, I'd actually fancy Kilmacud Crokes to get over the line. But if it's at a regional venue, I'd fancy Watty Graham's Glen. We'll have to see what the GA's decision is on that once it comes to that time, of course. But Kilmacud, they look an excellent team at the moment. And, yeah, they're definitely the hunted.
Absolutely. And I suppose another, very big, famous club that got over the line in their respective championship was Crossmaglen Rangers. In Armagh, they beat Clonagale 2-16 to 1-7. Very comfortable from what I heard, especially in the second half. Rian O'Neill with 3 points, Keane McConville with 5, Jamie Clark with a goal, Paul Hughes with 3 points, Oisin O'Neill back as well in midfield with a point there as well. So, yeah, dominant stuff for Crossmaglen. I suppose maybe not that big of a surprise, really. Like, they were definitely massive favourites going into the Armagh Championship. Like, to be fair, like, every now and again, Crossmaglen, especially in the last 7 or 8 years, have had the odd shock defeat. They've had a few surprise defeats here and there, but another championship for them, 2 in a row now, and them going up against the Tyrone champions in Ulster, like, that'd be a cracking game.
It should be, and to be honest, like, I was thinking about this today. Like, imagine if it's Gaelic Kieran that eventually win the Tyrone Championship. Not to take it away from Trillick now, but imagine this scenario: you have the Caledons against the O'Neills, and Keane McConville, who's related to the O'Neills as well. That's going to be an absolutely incredible battle in fairness. And while I was on the O'Neills, actually, the photo that Crossmaglen put up was actually brilliant. The club president, Margaret McConville, with her grandsons Keane and the 3 O'Neills there, Aaron, O'Sheen and Brian. That was absolutely brilliant stuff, and it's what club is all about. And people complain about the club being over inter-county at this stage of the year. That's why images like that, and they should be cherished throughout the GA community. But yeah, by the looks of things, it was a comfortable win for Crossmaglen, like 12 points. That's as competitive as or comprehensive as you could get in a county final. So that was a very good score from them. Keane McConville, like, he's been proving it for so many years now for Crossmaglen. You have to feel, when's he going to get a severe opportunity with the Armagh footballers? Like, 5 points again yesterday. Like, that's an incredible tally. Rian O'Neill again, exceptional. Oisin O'Neill from midfield. You've Colin Cummins to get at centre back as well, who's in and around the Armagh team. So he's going to be a massive player to keep an eye on. Aaron Cornan, what a player he is. I think he's 39 years of age and he keeps going and going at wing back. He's an incredible servant to Crossmaglen and an incredible player indeed. Yeah, they're an exceptional team. Really, really good. I think Oisin Kieran is another player who played for Armagh. He actually came off in the 54th minute yesterday, but he's another player. If he catches fire, he could prove something for Crossmaglen. But even that side of the Ulster draw, you look at it, Errigal Kieran, Crossmaglen, Scottstown and Kilcrew were all one side of the draw. Like, how you can't really write this, really. It's almost like the inter-county is mirrored onto the club scene in Ulster. It's absolutely incredible in its own right. So, yeah, Crossmaglen, they'll definitely be a team to fear. But then again, they will be wary of what happened last year. They come up against Ballybay, Pierce Brothers from Monaghan. They lose that game unexpectedly. They have to be, tuned in against whoever it is, Trillick or Errigal Kieran from the off. If they're not tuned in from the off, and even in the second half, they could be paying for it afterwards. But well done to Crossmaglen, exceptional achievement, and yeah, their reign in Armagh county titles goes on.
Absolutely, it sure does. And Gaona, they were champions in Cavan. They beat Kings Court Stars 5-15 to 13 points. So 2 in a row now for Gaona, as far as I'm aware there. So very, very dominant victory for them. Tiernan Madden at wing back with 2 goals and 4 points. Connor Madden with 2 points. Keane Madden with 3 points. The Maddens absolutely dominating everywhere, it seems, on the pitch in Breffni Park. Connor Casey with 2 points. Remember him from his little cameo on RTE a couple of, I think, last year. So great result for Gauna. I was just going to check there who they're playing in the first round in Ulster. Just having a look. They're going to be playing Naomh Conall of Donegal, who we'll get onto in a moment. But great result for Gauna, and like even looking at it on Scorpio, like they won the semi-finals quite comfortably as well. So be some scenes, I'm sure, around the Cavan tonight and yesterday, and probably tomorrow as well.
It's funny, actually, I was looking the Scorpio app or What's the Score, them score apps on Twitter or whatever as well. And I was seeing that scoreline, and I thought it was actually a mistake. Because King's Court, I looked at King's Court's team, like I'm sure they have Jordan Morris in their team. And like I thought King's Court would be the main favourites for that, but Gauna absolutely blitzed them. 17 points, that's an incredible scoreline. It will definitely stand to them going to the Ulster Championship against Naomh Quinn. It's an exceptional result for them. Tiernan Madden again, 2-4 from wing back. That's an incredible tally. Look, what is it about scoring defenders this year? You look at Colin McCarthy for Stars last week scoring 4 points from cornerback. You have Tiernan Madden scoring 2-4 this week. You look at Conor McCarthy in the All-Ireland Championship for Monaghan scoring 111 from play or 211 from play, whatever. Like, what is it about defenders now in both codes, in hurling and football, and going up to score incredible scores, individual scores? And it's incredible in its own right, and it probably just shows how much the game has evolved. But Gauna, look at this scoreline. They were absolutely brilliant. And actually, a name that I noticed there, number 15, D. McConnon. Is he Darragh McConnon from RD? Is he? Like, if he is...
Yeah. I don't think so. But maybe someone can let us know. I don't think so now. I don't think so. I'd be surprised if that is him now. But yeah, maybe the viewers can let us know. To be fair, RD were playing themselves.
His name is Darragh McConnon, but he spells his name differently. D-A-R-R-A-G-H. So I'm not sure. Is just his namesake? Or did he move clubs? I'm not sure, but that's quite an interesting team there. I'll have to look at RD's team there to say, but like if they have him in the team, if that is who I'm thinking of, like that's an incredible player to get. But that's obviously if they have him. They obviously have brilliant forwards in general. Other than Conor Casey, of course, they got Oisin Pearson scored a goal yesterday, and he's been brilliant for Cavan over the last year or so. You have the two Mantons. Ryan Donoghue in midfield. Conor Brady's been a brilliant player for Cavan down through the years as well. Ryan Brady. So looking at this team, actually, it's more like a Cavan inter-county team, isn't it, Aaron? Because you look at all these players across the team, and they nearly all play for Cavan. So you nearly see why they such an exceptional performance yesterday. Madden, what a performance from him.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was actually having a look at the Louth final there, and I seen Darragh McConnon kick 6 points for RD St. Mary. So unless he somehow managed to play in both finals, which maybe you wouldn't put it past him, to be fair. But yeah, there's obviously a couple of Darragh McConnons obviously knocking around by the looks of things. But it will be Gauna who will be playing Naomh Conall, obviously, who beat Godober 116 to a goal and an 8 points. So a very comfortable result for them right there. I mean, can Gauna, Cavan teams don't normally do much in Ulster. Like, I don't really remember Cavan sides really ever doing that well in the Ulster Club Football Championship, but could they put it up to the Donegal champions? I mean, could there be a potential? I feel like if there's going to be a shock in Ulster, that could maybe be one.
It definitely could, and considering the Donegal winners actually don't do well in the Ulster Championship over the last few years as well, like you look at St. Eunan's or Naomh Quinlan or Guido, whoever it is, don't necessarily do well in the Ulster Championship. So I think Gauna have a brilliant chance of causing a surprise. Would I call it actually a surprise? Because you look at Gauna's team and you think this team should be doing a lot better in general. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they lost to Inniskillen last year. And that was considered a huge, huge shock. I think they did. I'm not entirely sure now, but like that was an incredible result that Gauna lost, in fairness to them. But you look at their team, you look at the players that they have. That's an incredible bunch of players, and like they'll definitely fancy their chances against Naomh Quinlan. The semi-final would be against Watty Graham's Glen, most likely. that would be a step too far. But to beat a side like Naomh Quinn, the champions of Donegal, that'd be massive for Cavan football if they managed to do that. So, like, I think Ghana definitely have the chance to do it. I think they could beat Naomh Quinn. Look at the players of the Naomh Quinn side and the Ghana side. I actually think Ghana have better players than Naomh Quinn. So it's definitely not a long shot that the Cavan champions could beat the Donegal champions.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, look, it'd be worth definitely keeping a close eye on that one. Make no mistake about that. Looking at the Kerry Football Championship and the two semi-finals here, East Kerry 116, Rathmore 110. David Clifford with a goal and 3 points. Dara Roach on the score sheet as well with 4 points. Paddy Clifford with 4 points. I mean, even just looking at their team, it's just mental, the team that Kerry have. Like Jack Sherwood playing a centre-back as well. Ronan Buckley's in midfield. It really, really is some team. But the result, I think, that definitely caught probably me and you by surprise, and be curious to know, like, Kerry football fans, like, I'd be curious to know their opinion on this. Like, mid-Kerry 3-10, Dingle 9 points. Like, an absolute domination in the end from mid-Kerry. And when you looked at Dingle, like, coming into this game, like, they were winning games left, right, and centre quite comfortably. Like, hammered Temple now in the quarterfinals. They obviously won the Kerry Club Championship as well. As far as I know, they will still represent Kerry in Munster, because it's two divisional sides in the county championship final. But yeah, just a very surprising defeat, and I didn't see the game, to be honest. I think it was on RTE. I don't know if you got to see it, but I'll definitely have to have a look back at that, because very surprising to see them having got beat as comfortably as they were.
Yeah, for once, actually, I didn't see a Cork game. I actually saw this game in full, and I did stats on it, and I was just shocked, really. Shocked at mid-Kerry beating them, but it was kind of a game where Dingle, they seemed to be in control going to half-time. They got a few marks, like Niall Gainey kicked especially an unbelievable point from the outside of his boot from a mark, but Dingle, they had a goal chance. I think Conor Gainey was going through on goal, missed the target. Then the next play, right before half-time, mid-Kerry go down the other end. Killian Buckley turns his man, puts it in the back of the net, and suddenly mid-Kerry are ahead. Dingle level it, going into the home straight, but then mid-Kerry get a few points. Dingle then get a sending off. Mikey Gainey gets a sending off for a second yellow. That was key in this game. And then mid-Kerry, they showed some bottle. Dara Cleary actually got the second goal, and surprisingly, actually, I mentioned this on RT. Dara Cleary is a nephew of John Cleary, the Cork football manager. So could Dara Cleary actually throw on the Rebels jersey? I'm not entirely sure how that would work, really. But looking at it in more detail, I think he's actually from Kerry. So it's going to be very, very unlikely that he will put on the Rebels jersey. But we can hope and dream. He was an exceptional player, actually, when he came on, scoring 1-2 from play. Jack O'Connor then scores the third goal for mid-Kerry to end proceedings. And actually, Mark O'Connor got a straight red card for Dingle. So it actually, like, if he's missing for the Munster Championship, that's a huge loss. Because Mark O'Connor, he was the guy to come back from Australia and deliver maybe Munster and All-Ireland to Dingle. And now he could be missing because of a suspension. That's going to be a big loss. But well done to mid-Kerry. They have some very, very good players all over the field. Like Nathan Breen at full back was in very good form. Mike Breen at centre back. Killing Burke from centre forward. Like Darrell Cleary coming onto the pitch. Like, they have some very good players. Actually, Ian O'Connor was their standout player coming into the game. Didn't do much, but when he was on the ball, he actually did a whole load of damage. Gavin O'Grady had a good performance. Darren Houlihan, who's actually the brother, I think, of Sarah Houlihan, the former Kerry LGFA player. So he had a very good game as well. Sean O'Brien from midfield. So mid-Kerry have some excellent players. And I think their aim is to right the wrongs from last year. They were probably poor enough in the Kerry final last year against East Kerry. They'd want to right those wrongs and beat them. East Kerry, obviously, I look at their team at Scorpio. It's absolutely exceptional, the talent they have in the team. But for Dingle, actually an interesting stat in this game. Dingle only scored 1 point from play in the whole 60 minutes. And I don't know. I take that stat what way you want. But like Dingle, to me, against Dr. Crokes last year, I thought they were very, very good. Maybe it's mid-Kerry or just a better team. They have better players all over the field. They're a divisional side, like Lawn Rangers are involved, Milltown Castlemaine. Maybe it's because of that. But I thought Dingle would be much better. But they have a while now to prepare for their Munster semi-final, which I think is against either Clonmel Commercials or Newcastle West, probably, the Tipper Limerick champions. So they have a while to prepare for that, go into the semi-final now. But yeah, it's going to be tough to get yourself off the horse. So after that defeat, to be honest with you, but they'd still probably, in my opinion anyway, be favourites to win the Munster Championship. But yeah, that was a tough defeat to take for Dingle on Saturday.
Yeah, it definitely was all right. It was surprising, all right, like checking the score and just seeing them get beat as comfortably as they were. And I suppose it is an unusual scenario in Kerry where they've had such a heavy defeat, but now they'll be going straight into the Munster Championship. It is quite a rarity, but I suppose that's kind of always the way it's been. Like Herons or Athleys, finished bottom of the county championship. I think lost 3 from 3 before going into Munster last year. So, be interesting to see what happens there. Looking at the Fermanagh final, Derry Gunley Harps beat Erin Gales Balik 2-8 to 9 points. So very, very good result for them. And looking at Waterford, there was 2 semi-finals there. Rathcormac beat Onrin 114 to 2-9, and the Noir are back in the final as well. They beat Kilrossantee 116 to 11 points. So the Noir have usually been the dominant force in Waterford, and Rathcormac have been there as well. So it's a kind of I suppose the usual final. Coolera Strandhill were champions in Sligo, 11 points to 8-point winners there. First county title, I think, since 2005 for them as well. So fair play. Obviously, Thurles Strand were very dominant for so long. So Coolera Strandhill, congratulations to them. And in Roscommon, St. Bridget's beat Boyle 12 points to 11. Narrow victory. A few people were mentioning it in the chat earlier. Ben O'Carroll with 3 points. So nice to see him on the score sheet there for St. Bridget's. Harsh for Boyle. I mean, I didn't see the game, but they haven't won a county title, I think, in 80 years or something like that. I think it was, you have to go back to the 1940s the last time they won it. And, you think of players like Enda Smith, Donny Smith, players who've given so much for the Roscommon cause down the years. It would have been nice to see them get over the line, but I suppose it is the old dog St. Bridget's who, I suppose, so often do come through Roscommon. Have done it again.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you even look at the ball team in general, like not just Donny Smith or Enda Smith, you have Keane McKeown and Darragh Craig there as well, 2 exceptional footballers. Yeah. Like Darragh Craig actually didn't score anything in this game, and maybe St. Bridget's, the plan was to shackle these players and keep them quiet. And you look at Keane Feely, I've heard a lot about him as well. Niall O'Donnell, who's actually, what I heard recently anyway, is the son of Fergal O'Donnell, the former Roscommon manager. He's a decent there as well from wing forward. Like, there's some exceptional players, Boyle, and it's very, very upsetting, really, that Enda Smith and Donny Smith don't get their flowers in the Roscommon Championship that they deserve. Like, they're exceptional players. They definitely deserve a Roscommon Championship. I might be wrong now, Aaron, but I think their last championship title was 1927. I think I heard that somewhere. So that's nearly 100 years. So, like, that's really, really long without a Roscommon Championship. But St. Bridget's, obviously, they won the All-Ireland in recent times. I think in 2013 when Kevin McStay was in charge of them. So they'll be going to go on another run in the All-Ireland potentially. Ben O'Carroll, you mentioned there. Nugent got 1 point there as well. Conan from midfield actually had a very good game with 4 points. There, Eddie Nolan's another Roscommon senior on the team from midfield. So they have players themselves. Brian Stack from full back at a point on the score sheet as well, and he's an exceptional player for Roscommon. So they will be a force in the Connacht Club Championship, definitely. I can't take off the top of the head who they're actually playing in the Connacht Championship. I think they're playing Coolera Strandhill, I think it is, from Sligo. I'll have to double check this, but yeah, so game in its own. I think probably enough to beat them. The Coolera, fair play to them, winning their first championship since 2005, and Thurles Strand obviously had stranglehold there. You would have expected the latter to go on to win the Sligo Championship, but they didn't, and fair play to Coolera to go on and win it. But you'd have to expect St. Bridget's to beat Coolera in that quarter final. But yeah, the Connacht Championship, as Colin said earlier, it is wide open. You look at Coolera there, you look at St. Bridget's. If Bravey make it in Mayo the first time they'll go into the Connacht Championship, we'll see how they go on next Sunday. You look at Mike Cullen and probably Mike Cullen and Corofin will be undoubtedly favourites, whoever comes through that in Galway, to win the Connacht Championship outright. But then again, it should be a very interesting championship to see. But I really feel sorry for Boyle and Enda Smith and Donny Smith, Darragh Craig, all them players who definitely deserve more than what they're getting in the Roscommon Championship.
Yeah, Gavin says here, St. Bridget's weren't great against Boyle, but they trashed North Roscommon and Roscommon Gales. Boyle was their first real test. The fact it's Strand Hill, someone new from Sligo, should help Bridget's. Yeah, I'd agree as well. I think Turles Strand, like very seasoned side that obviously played in Connacht Championships quite a lot over the last couple of years. But in saying that, look, Culera, we don't know a lot about them really, so sometimes those kind of teams can be, even more dangerous as well. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Two semi-finals in Galway. Corofin beat Milltown 3-13 to 2-12, and Mike Cullen beat Mount Ballymoylock 11 points to 9. I suppose Mike Cullen are maybe going a little bit under the radar as well, or maybe even Corofin maybe as well. Like whoever comes out of Galway will definitely, you'd imagine, be the favourites anyway in Connacht, and with the fact that they'll be paired up with the Munster winners in the All-Ireland semi-finals, like there is a strong possibility that the Galway winners could possibly reach an All-Ireland final, maybe go all the way.
Definitely so. Like Galway is always strong in terms of all-Ireland contenders, and Mike Cullen did an exceptional win. You still have Owen Gallagher at centre forward, still knocking about. You have Daisy Keneally there as well. So, and you have Johnny Maloney, I'm sure, is in with the Mike Cullen team this season. So that's an very, very good player to have around the panel. In general, you look at Corofin, Gary Sice is still there. I actually don't know how, to be honest with you. Like, how old is he at this stage? Like, he scored 5 points yesterday against Milltown. You have Silk scoring 1 point. Dylan McHugh getting a point there as well. Kieran Malloy, great to see him back after an injury layoff. He didn't score anything yesterday, but very good player for Corofin to have in and around the panel. And maybe this is probably the win that Corofin need to get back at the Galway hype train in a way, because over the last few years, they've been kind of the club team that everybody has forgotten about. You know, the achievements that they went through over the last few seasons. And then I think Mount Ballymoylock beat them in a COVID year, and suddenly everybody thinks they're a pretty average Galway team. But they proved that this year they've gone into a Galway final. They're still knocking about, and they're still going to be a threat for Mike Cullen. Mike Cullen obviously getting over the line against Mount Ballymoylock, I think by 11 points to 7, I think it was. It looked like, by the scoreline anyway, a very, very dull game. But look, Mike Cullen won't care a jot. They'll get off the line. They'll go on to the final now. But wouldn't it be brilliant for Corofin, really, to get back up the horse? Wouldn't it be a statement if they go on and beat Mike Cullen in the final? But whoever wins the Galway Championship, I definitely think they'll fancy their chances in the All-Ireland, especially with the fact that they're going to a Connacht Championship with relatively new sides. Like you look at Culera, you look at Brafey potentially. Maybe Bridges haven't been in the Connacht Championship for a few seasons now, so they'll definitely fancy their chances on that. And in the semi-final of the All-Ireland, they'll face the Munster champions. And who are you going to face in that? Dingle, who got beaten by 10 points against Meath Kerry, and probably Castlehaven, Nemo. Nemo weren't good against Clonmel last year. Castlehaven are relatively new if they could get over the Connacht Championship. So Corofin or Mike Cullen, whoever wins that Galway Championship, will definitely fancy their chances at a tilt of the All-Ireland this season. And like, Corofin will be licking their lips to get the draw. That's if they get over Mike Cullen, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it should be interesting, all right. And I suppose, as Tom says here, would have expected Ballina to win the Mayo Championship, but not after their display in the semi. It was a dire affair. Like, yeah, the Galway champions will have to come through the Mayo champions, so that might be a bit of a test. But Mayo clubs don't tend to do too well, really, in the All-Ireland series. That's one thing I've picked up on really in the last sort of few years. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. So I suppose we'll move on to something that we never really wanted to talk about, and we certainly never really want to talk about these topics when they happen. I suppose we will discuss the games briefly. Like, there were 3 Leinster Club Championship matches, and maybe I'll run through who scored and the talking points and everything else. But there was something that happened at full time between Tullamore and Summerhill in the Leinster Club Championship in Tullamore that very much overshadowed the entire proceedings, really. From my understanding, I didn't see the game, but from my understanding, there was a call at the end by the referee. He was apparently, I don't know, some people were saying he called a penalty and then changed his mind or something like that, some sort of confusion. But what followed afterwards, unfortunately, at full time, is not what you want to see in Gaelic football. And I actually have the video here, so maybe we'll just have a quick look at it and then we'll discuss it after.
It was a dreadful way for the Tullamore players to be told they were getting a penalty and then told it wasn't a penalty. You know, it's inexcusable, really. Oh. And there's a bit of argy-bargy going on out there.
So the referee has ended up on the ground, or is it the linesman? There's one of the match officials that has ended up on the ground, and whatever people made.
Crazy stuff there. I mean, what was your reaction seeing that? I mean, it just seems to be it's just a regular occurrence at this stage, isn't it? It's just happening every week. I mean, fans are fighting on the sidelines. We're seeing, you know, things going on between players. It just, I don't know if it's being recorded more nowadays, and that's the reason why we're seeing it more. I don't know if it's a reflection on the way society is at the moment. I don't know what it is, but what was your take on it?
My initial reaction when I saw it, I actually was at a club game myself. My club were in a junior game at Cork, but I only saw the video actually when I came off the pitch and looked at the video. And my instant reaction to it was disgusted, disgraceful, all them words. Doesn't matter. And the same with I think you remember this as well with the Montbellion Moylock players attacking the referee at the end of the game as well against Roscommon champions a few seasons ago, and that was disgrace. Patrick Pierce, that was disgraceful in its own right. But for a fan to come onto the pitch and do that to a referee, I mean, it's just, no matter what the decision, I don't care what the decision is at the end of the game. You do not assault a referee at the end of the game. Simple as. You know, it should be simple in a society like this that you do not go onto a pitch and assault a referee. Look, examples in general over the last few weeks with other sports. You look at the Rugby World Cup, and this is where I praise the Rugby World Cup, because you look at the players when they go off for a yellow card or a red card, what the players actually do, and the fans would have the same kind of temperament. They go to the referee, they'd say, "Oh, sorry, ref, sorry, the player injured," and walk off the pitch, you know, gracefully. But in this society with GA, there's some tendency for fans and managers and players to attack an individual. And it's disgraceful. It's just, it irks me, to be honest with you. And what irks me even more, actually, there's some people, you know, that I see online or I know at matches and whatever, they say, "Oh, this is disgraceful what happens to a referee," and then they call him, F words or B words or whatever during the game, and intense violence and things like that in the game towards a referee. I mean, it's really, really poor. And I think I go back to the comments that you and Seamus and John and all the content creators in Gaelic Games have made over the past few seasons. And there was an incident last year, and Seamus mentioned this in his TikTok video on O'Clare. There was an incident last year where a fella in the Roscommon Championship got literally knocked out. Like, this is the society we live in now. And a player, a referee doing his job, getting hit from behind. He was just walking off the pitch like a normal human being. And then some idiot, comes behind him and smacks him. Like, the amount of shock he must have gone through afterwards, the referee, I think it was, what's his name? I think it's Barry Tierney is the name of the referee. The amount of shock he went through at the end of the game. I mean, it's ridiculous, really. And maybe it's videos online. Maybe it is. I think it is anyway. You look at the stuff with, I think it's Oliver de Balla and Nate Baroque last year in the Intermediate Hurling Championship, where actually a brawl escalated into the stands. This is the society we live in now. And it's disgraceful. It really is. And I hope the GA do something about this now. No petty bans or whatever. Ban this guy for life. Or a substantial amount of time. It's ridiculous that this is still happening. But Seamus again, Seamus Brady made a very good point about this. There's going to be some instances where the stewards wouldn't know who the guy is walking through the gates as well. So how on earth can you ban these guys, these idiots, from walking through the gates of a GA again? How? Simple as. And it's ridiculous, really. You know, it's really, really poor, to be honest with you. And it's a shame, Aaron. And I read one of your tweets yesterday, and I completely agree with you when you say this. It's only when something tragic happens at a game, God forbid, something tragic happens in a game, before the GA actually take their finger out and solve this issue. Because it's a disgrace, it really is. And I feel for the referee today, who got the shock of his life yesterday, And I hope he's okay after the incident. And I hope that guy who assaulted him gets banned for life. Simple as.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Keane was saying here, no wonder why referees are stepping away from refereeing matches in large numbers. A lengthy ban for this individual is a must. And yeah, like what you were saying there, like I put something out on TikTok earlier and everything else, just sort of talking about the issue and everything else. And plenty of comments were saying like the referee, you know, it was bizarre comments really. Some people saying the referee deserved it, he made a terrible call and everything else. And I just think regardless of the decision that the referee does, like if he makes a horrendous decision, you know, that does not warrant assault. Do you know what I mean? Like that's, and I think for people who think that, like they obviously, you know, you must wonder what their upbringing is. Do you know what I mean? If they think that's acceptable, like, and yeah, like some of the reactions been surprising. Like I seen Colin Parkinson even say it was harmless enough, which again I disagree with. Like the worst time ever you can attack, you know, you can push someone or attack someone is when they don't see it coming, when they have their back turned. Because when your back's turned and you're walking normally, you know, like you're not expecting, you know, your body isn't ready for that. And if you actually look at the incident, some people are saying like, oh, he threw himself to the ground and different things like that. And the way he fell, like the way he probably fell was because he wasn't expecting it, you know. And it's like anything. It's like if you're walking down the street, if you're walking home from work, going to get the bus, or you know, like walking back to your house, and someone comes up and pushes you without you expecting it, so like it's. Yeah, it is disgraceful, and lifetime bans I think definitely need to be issued out. And even something I was thinking of, and I know this might be a little bit far-fetched and a little bit harsh, but when a lot of these incidences were happening, like back in, you know, the 70s and 80s in soccer and English football, and I know like some very, very tragic things obviously happened there, but clubs were punished. Clubs were kicked out of European competition. Clubs were kicked out of, you know, lots of stuff. And I'm not saying, obviously, what happened then and what's happening now is obviously not the same. But I just think maybe if there were some punishment given to clubs, you know, play behind closed doors or something like that, because that will stop fans. Fans won't do that, and then clubs will be like, you know, we can't have this. And you'd hate for anyone to be the example. Do you know what I mean? Because this is happening left, right, and centre. But yeah, it's hard to really know what the solution is because, as you said, it's so hard to police. And yeah, I think the GA need to come out and start making statements on this, though, I think. And I think that's the problem. They don't seem to be. They just seem to ignore it.
They're just sitting back. And that's the honest thing about it, Aaron. And a few points on this. Even with him, remember I know this isn't the fan or anything, but Rian O'Neill, brilliant player and all that. But his tackle on, I think it was Michael O'Neill for Tyrone in the championship earlier in the year, was given a straight red and he would have been suspended. The fact that me, you, Seamus, John, anybody in the GA circle, we're talking about it being rescinded probably epitomises what society we live in now. Like, I think the GA are just too lenient on individuals. Like they're saying, oh, it'll affect his performance on the pitch and it will, you know, him missing an all-Ireland final or missing a club quarter-final is an absolute disgrace. And, you know, it's the livelihood of the GA and things like that. The guy committed a ridiculous, you know, he hit a fella at the back of the head or stamped on somebody or whatever. It needs to be punished. Simple as that. You know, it really, I don't think it's that hard for the GA to police. And I know people would say, oh, Tullamore, we don't deserve this and things like that. Maybe what you're saying there, maybe we'll police it better. Maybe we'll get a stop to this sort of behaviour going on. And it will stop these sort of idiots. It'll make them think this is wrong. But the fact that GA keep ignoring it and they don't put out statements, the GA fans will do it more and more and more and more. And it will get to a point, as you mentioned in your tweet yesterday, until something tragic happens. And we don't want that. We really don't want that in our society. And another thing would say Colin Parkinson and a lot of people saying, oh, it went down too easily and the referee, it went down too easily when you're getting hit in the back of the head. Come on now. Come on. Seriously. If your person did that on the streets, on Dublin streets or Cork streets or Limerick streets, the guy is getting jail time. But if he does it on a GA pitch, no punishment. And I mean, it's ridiculous in its own right. And as well as that, the referee's decision shouldn't play into this. And I've said this before with the Mount Belly Boy Lock incident 2 years ago. A referee's decision, look, it's a split-second decision. If he gets it wrong, look, it's human error. Simple as that. And people will go back to all, a lot of Liverpool fans were going on about replay and things. I remember that incident with Liverpool and Tottenham a few weeks ago with VAR. But the difference of that is, one, they had video assistant referees there. So they didn't have split-second decisions. They had to look at it on monitors and things like that. And number two, them referees are getting paid. GA referees are doing it on a voluntary basis. They're taking time out of their day to referee a 15-on-15 match. And what's the thanks they get for that? Getting beds off the back of the head from a ridiculous individual. And it's just, it's sad really, that this keeps continuing. I hope it stops. Seamus is probably the same. John's the same. You're the same. We all want this to stop. But for this to stop, the GA have to pull their finger out and do something on this. Simple as. And that's all I'll say on this story. It's ridiculous. It irks me really that this thing is still happening in a GA again.
Yeah, no, me too. No, it needs to stop. Like, this definitely does need to stop at this stage, because it's getting way too out of hand. And as you were saying, like, you know, touch wood, nothing, you know, tragic ever happens with some of these instances. But we're just playing. I think that we're on a real slippery slope, I think, in many ways. But hopefully the GA can get a hold of this. I think they need to come out making statements. They need to address this type of behavior. Otherwise it will just keep happening. But just running through the three games anyway. So obviously there was a game that was played, and it was Summerhill who got the better of Tullamore 1-9 to 1-7, and Aero with Carlow beat St. Joseph's of Laois 2-18 to 3-13, 2-point win there after extra time. And St. Lomans got a big win over Shelmaliers of Wexford. So 1-10 to 1-8 St. Lomans of Westmead. So, I mean, any thoughts on any of those results? Good win for St. Lomans, and I suppose Summerhill getting the better of Tullamore as well. Yeah,
huge win for Summerhill. I would have probably expected Tullamore to get over the line, but Summerhill, they had guts to get over it, and fair play to them for getting over the line, and a brilliant result for them. They play Naas now in the quarterfinals, so it's Kildare-Meath rivalry there. So that should be a very good game, very entertaining game. In general, St. Lomans, you would have expected them to get over the line, in all honesty. Like, I know Shelmaliers, they have some decent players themselves, but St. Lomans are nearly like an inter-county side for Westmead. So, like, it was expected that they get over the line. Aero beating St. Joseph's, like, you would have, if for a while there, I was looking at it on Clubber, scored the Kerry Championship game was over, and I was picking over back between St. Joseph's and Aero and the England-South Africa rugby match. And actually, the Leinster Championship game was absolutely excellent. It was brilliant at the end, particularly. You thought St. Joseph's had it with a few points and things like that. I think St. Joseph's missed a penalty towards the end of the game, and you're thinking, oh no, they have a chance missed here. And considering this team beat Port Arlington and Port Laois, like, what a trio would have been to beat Aero from Carlow as well. Three huge clubs, but ultimately very good performance for Aero for getting over the line. They had an exceptional performance, in fairness to them. Like, I think Dermot Root had a very good performance from them. Adam McCarron, I think, was excellent for Aero again, getting, I think it was 6 or 7 points in that game. Excellent performance from him. So Aero, they march on. Ross Dunphy there as well. Murta Ware, John Morris in midfield. Like, John Morris, we know how good he is for the Carlow team. Like Mark Fury at centre back, Benny Kavanagh. Like, Colin Bolton got 3 points, 3 excellent scores. I actually watched 2 of his scores at club, are excellent point taken from him, and he's Carlow senior, obviously a Carlow senior scoring machine. So yeah, very good result for Aero, brilliant result for all three sides this weekend, and on they march.
Absolutely. Yeah, Gavin was saying here, was wondering about Leinster. So the Dublin Championship end after other parts of Leinster begin. Yeah, they normally just do the preliminary rounds for the Leinster Club Championship a few weeks before the other provincial club championships. I'm not entirely sure why. Like, they could have probably done it next weekend, but I suppose it gives a break for the Dublin champions and some of the other champions as well. Maybe before we finish up, what's your prediction for next weekend in the Cork football final between Castlehaven and Nemo Rangers? I mean, obviously the Bars not in the final. I think they might have been maybe your pick earlier in the year. Yeah, who would you be predicting to come out on top?
It's a funny one, really. Like, I've had so many differing opinions on this. Castlehaven, Nemo Rangers. I'd love, from a West Cork point of view, I'd actually love Castlehaven to do it. And they haven't done it since 2013, an incredible stat in its own right. And you look at Castlehaven's players, Rory Maguire, the Cahalane brothers, and Damien Connor, Jack, you have Brian Hurley, Michael Hurley, Mark Collins. There's exceptional talent all over the field for Castlehaven. And they had an exceptional result against the Bars. Like, everyone was expecting, including me, the Bars to get over the line in that game, but Castlehaven showed guts and resilience to get over that line. And James McCarthy's done an absolutely brilliant job there. And like, I'd be hoping Castlehaven win it from a West Cork point of view, from a Southern Star point of view, obviously. But Nemo, they're serial winners. And they showed that last year. Even when the Bars are a better team, Nemo finds some way to get over the line in Cork. But like, it's going to be a very difficult one to call, because I think Castlehaven are the better team. They have a better manager. They have better players. They probably have a better team ethic than Nemo. But Nemo have that final nose. It's kind of like in the hurling championship a few years ago. You look at Tipperary, have brilliant players all over the field. They have Liam Sheedy in charge. But Kilkenny have that final mentality. It's almost like this. And Nemo have that final mentality to try and get over the line in this. I know Mark Cronin's in good form, but Luke Connolly isn't really in good form. He scored 2 goals in the semi-final against Duhallow, but hasn't done much in the championship other than that. It should be interesting. It really should be an interesting final. If I had to call it now, I'd probably go Nemo Rangers to win it. But like, if a Cork team is to go further in Munster, I think it'd be better if Castlehaven win it. But I think Nemo, the final nose, will be good enough to get them over the line in this final. But it should be an interesting game live on Rebels Online next Sunday.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it'll definitely be worth checking out. I think I backed Castlehaven. I think I gave a prediction for them earlier in the season. So, I obviously haven't watched any of the Core Club Championship though, so we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. Make no mistake about that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this up here anyway. Cheers anyone who obviously tuned in. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. Check out Matthew Hurley's show on the Gaelic Statsman. Make sure to check out his Instagram and everything else. And yeah, make sure to be hitting that like button, subscribing, all that good stuff. You know the drill by now. And Matthew, we'll speak to you again. And for anyone who tuned in, speak to you on the next one.